Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Friday, January 18th, 2019. My name is Rich, and joining me for this very special 200th episode is Bijan. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. We made it to 200. I mean, that is insane. 200 weeks recording this podcast.
Crazy. And we were only late once out of all this time, we were only late once. And I'm very sorry, everyone, that this episode is so late, but we're here. We're still here. And we're here to celebrate the Titan Games and the 200th episode of the Armchair Ninja Podcast.
Yeah, Titan Games broke us. Like, no, I'm just kidding. It's great, man. I mean, it's awesome that we made it this far, and we just keep on going. Here's to another 200 episodes. Unlike episode 100, man, not video podcast. We're not doing all the flair. We're just going to have a chill one, right?
Yeah, I decided against going too crazy this time. I did reach out relatively last second on all of our social media. So if you've been following us and you're keeping a close eye, you did have a chance to ask us some questions for this episode, so we do have some of those that we're going to do. We're going to do a quick recap of the Titan Games, and then we'll get into the questions that you all had for us.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I have not seen any of these questions, so I apologize in advance, guys.
Yeah, I should say that I didn't give them any thought up till now either. I wanted to kind of be there with you, and we'll go through it in the moment rather than give it a lot of, contemplation. Let's get our real reactions to the questions, because they're pretty good ones.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so Titan Games, episode 2, we're going to call it. Started off with a real bang. I gotta say, I was like seeing the promise of this show in the first matchup. What did you think of that?
Oh, it was great. It was fantastic, actually. I felt like it was a very strong beginning to the episode to really set the pace, and not only that, I mean, it was filled with drama. It was filled with, in my opinion, not necessarily like there was clearly somebody to root for, like a very strong, like you don't have a soul if you're not rooting for the woman with their kids and everything, her opponent, she's connected to Kim Kardashian, so instantly I dislike,
Right.
But hey, if you like the Kardashians, that's all you. I'm just saying. Didn't like her, but I eventually, what got over that whole aspect, and I actually really respected her too. I mean, the drive of both these women was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I found myself shifting back and forth. So for those that didn't see it or don't remember, because it has been a little bit for you at this point, we are talking about Christina Luna and Melissa Alcantara. They did an obstacle called Lunar Impact that we haven't seen before. They had to race up a ladder on either side of this long platform that's 30 feet in the air and start pushing this sliding wall from either end. So it was just basically almost like a tug of war type thing right there, except they're pushing on this wall and trying to push the other person off the far end of the platform. It's really long. Like, they really have to push quite far, and they're bracing with everything they have, trying to stop the other person from shoving them off the other end. And it went back and forth. Like, I had no idea that was coming, because it seemed pretty clear that the personal trainer lady had a pretty strong leg up, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, once again, it's up to leg strength, but for this obstacle, and really last week also with that whole pole, like, I don't even know how to describe that, but these two obstacles, the thing that makes them unique is that there can only be, well, unlike all the others, there can only be one winner, of course, but it's not necessarily a race. It's just a battle of will and heart, and you see it on their face, and you really have to work for it. And I mean, this is the stuff that really can make this show, is that if they embrace more obstacles like this. Of course, it doesn't always have to be a tug of war. Both these obstacles are necessarily tug of wars. But if there are obstacles where it's not necessarily a race and side by side, but something like this, I think that can create a much stronger dynamic of a show. And you just see the strain in their faces. It was very entertaining, and it went back and forth. And I mean, it just had a like a crazy amount of emotions going on the entire time. I loved it.
Yeah, they really drew me in. Unfortunately, the lady that won, Melissa, ended up injuring herself in the process. It was such a long, strenuous battle that she basically couldn't stand by the end of it. As her knee swelled up, and she wasn't able to continue. So her opponent, Christina, ended up moving on to the finals.
Yeah, and typically, it would really be disappointing to see that. And I'm so disappointed for, the woman that won and got injured. But if there was ever a case where the loser can move on, it's something like this, where it was so close. And both these women really rose up and won, in my opinion. Like, both of them showed everything, and they're both so amazing. So I was absolutely fine seeing... I'm sorry, I forget all their names, but I was fine with her moving on. How do you feel about that?
I was good, and for the exact same reason, it was like, you know what, that's perfectly fine. There was such a close battle that I don't think it's doing any disservice to have her move on instead.
Yeah.
So that was a really great start, and I had a lot of promise. I was like, okay, so this show's looking pretty good. And what do they hit us with next? They give us the hammering ram again.
That's stupid. Why is that a thing, man? But I'll tell you this whole segment cemented why, in my opinion, this episode 2 should have been the very first episode. This would have been a perfect season premiere of the Titan games. It had a lot of drama from the start, but the problem that I had with this segment is their performance doing the battering ram, because we've seen it done a lot better. But why don't you talk about these guys? Because I actually, once again, for me, a clear, not villain, but somebody I dislike kind of a little bit, and somebody clearly to cheer for.
Right, so we had Bridger Buckley, who was hit by a car and battled to get back into shape, versus Robbie Strauss, the pro wrestler.
Come on. And this pro wrestler just screamed D-bag. I'm sure he's a great guy. He was fun and everything, but I think he knew, to play his role, Yeah. He's there to be bombastic and over the top.
He kind of felt like he was almost playing a heel, right? He was kind of over the top, almost intentionally.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's a great guy in real life. I'm just saying, that was how, he played his role. Yeah. And once again, I think the show does well when you have clearly somebody to root for. And I liked actually going into the segment. I mean, I hate the obstacle, but at least the competitors there were great, because the guy, he's just the sweetest guy imaginable. I really like this guy. What was his story again? He was hit by a car and everything, but there was more to it, right?
I don't know. I noted that he was hit by a car and that he battled to get back into shape afterwards.
If I remember correctly, he was a family man and a bunch of other things with him. Just the nicest guy you can imagine. So I was really rooting for him.
He's kind of a baby face, right? So, but here's the thing. I actually think this is I completely disagree. This was been a terrible premiere for a few reasons. One, we had someone injure themselves right off the bat. That's not good. As much as that was a great battle between them, it's not how you want to kind of set up your season. And then in this one, these guys couldn't do the obstacle. They were struggling so bad that The Rock had to go down and coach them basically to get through the thing.
See, I'll give you the point for the person being injured. That's a really good point, because you don't want to see that in your season premiere. But I think it would have been a lot stronger to see somebody fail at this obstacle, because then I would have a lot more respect for the obstacle. I'd be like, oh man, this thing is so daunting. These guys couldn't even, barely even do it. That thing must be so heavy. They were just killing themselves. And it was brutal to watch them strain so much.
I guess it legitimizes the obstacle. That is a good point.
Yeah. But we saw last week a guy just destroy it in, no time at all. So my whole time watching this, I'm like, these guys suck. You can't even do this. And trust me, I couldn't do this even with all my strength. But I'm just saying, since I already have this level in my head of what this obstacle is, these guys struggling that much at it, I just couldn't care.
Yeah, I guess. But moving on, let's go on here. We've got Carla Miranda versus Nika Sedghi. And I gotta figure that Nika must have had your attention pretty quickly.
Persian from San Diego. Represent, son. Heck yeah.
I figured. At first I heard San Diego. I was like, oh, here's one Bijan's. And then she's got a Persian background too. I was like, well, I think I know who his favorite in this episode is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all about like, hey, we're the same race and we're from the same hood and everything, you know.
If there's a short beardy dude, I'm voting. I'm rooting for him the whole way through.
Yeah, it's a thing where she's also like a really sweet girl or woman, you know, with a family and everything. Like, you know, for me, it was easy to have somebody to root for.
Right, and she's a mechanical engineer, very smart apparently too.
That's dope.
So they did Tower Drop, a new obstacle for us, which was basically like Kerplunk, like an old
Kerplunk. I mean, you're not wrong, but
it's a 30-foot tower, and they have to remove these long bars, and at the top is this golden bar under a 50-pound ball. They've got to make the ball drop all the way down through.
Yeah, but the thing is that the ball, like, it's weighted, so when, like, you're pulling out this really hard golden pull, the ball drops a little bit, and basically, like, how do I describe it? Like, it makes it stuck. Like, you can't even pull. It's really unique, and I really like this obstacle.
Really?
The visual aspect of it being high up, the fact that women have to, you have to use different muscle groups. It's literally not just running forward or hammering something. You have to jump up, you have to pull things out using your back muscles and your leg muscles. Then you have to keep on going. So it's using a lot of energy in different ways. And then when you get to the final obstacle, you have to have something that is very rare on this show, and that is something called technique. And I like that fact. You know, it's bare bones compared to most shows we cover, Rich, but at least there's some technique there. So, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I guess the climbing required some technique too. You could see, I mean, Carla is only 5 feet tall, so she was struggling from that perspective. But I mean, trying to climb up those poles wouldn't have been easy, and not just a pure test of strength. So yeah, I guess I can appreciate it from that perspective. Wasn't a huge fan of it, but now that you put it in context, I guess I like it a little more.
Dude, I'm grasping at straws. The bar is low here. I mean, it's not ANW, but you know, compared to a lot of these, it's good.
Yeah, so Nika got ahead and just stayed there the whole way. Carla, the shorter competitor, was, you know, put up a pretty good fight, but just wasn't enough in the end, and she didn't move on. But next up, we had the battle to end all battles. We had Montez Blair, essentially a track star, versus Stephen Hoppy, Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor, and a dad, and
how can you not root for Stephen Hoppy? Like...
I mean, yeah. And the dude is built like an F-150. Like, he's huge.
So what is up with, like, you got this giant tank of a guy, and then you got this really skinny, lanky dude that kind of, like, has the same body shape as me. And then what obstacle do they put him on, Rich?
I know. They put him on Uprising. The crazy one where they tie them to a anvil and have them run to drive this anvil up through some concrete floors.
It's just the dumbest obstacle imaginable.
And it's the dumbest matchup you could possibly have on this obstacle. You're like, it's practically body weight dependent, right? You need a lot of mass to get moving to drive that thing up through those. And
bro, the lanky dude was being shot into the air because he couldn't.
He almost didn't have enough weight to counterweight the freaking anvil.
It's just a dumb obstacle.
The obstacle would be fine. You take the tank dude that did it last time against the tank dude that just did it. That'd be fine. I'd pay to see that. Sure.
I guess. At the end of the day, you're literally just watching dudes march forward. I mean, it's not entertaining, in my opinion.
Not
it's whatever. I mean, at least the Hodgkin's lymphoma guy won. Like, a really likable guy. Really, both of these guys were super likable, but, you know, one clearly you just gotta root for him. I'm like, he's overcome so much.
Yeah. So he moved on to Mount Olympus. So then we had the matchups, which were pretty unremarkable.
We don't need to have details. He won.
Yeah. At the end of the day, there was not the first matchup, Bridger Buckley versus Stephen Hoppy. Bridger got down and finished it just faster. It was pretty close, but not that close. And Nika Sedghi versus Christina Luna. Christina was really struggling. Nika was well ahead. I kind of thought it would be funny at the beginning because it almost looked like Christina wouldn't be able to push over the wall to get started. I thought that would be kind of a really anticlimactic Mount Olympus if she can't push over the wall.
That would have been rough,
Yeah.
bro.
But she was coming down the slides as Nika won. It was definitely, I think, the most one-sided one we've had, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I liked this episode just because the bar was pretty low for me. And I enjoyed it, to be honest with you. But I very much can see this show is going to get old real quick. It screams Spartan Ultimate Challenge.
It really does.
And I hate saying that. I want everybody to know it's not something where it's like I went in. I was actually really excited for the show. But man, I don't know. There's a lot of flaws that I'm seeing on this show, which is very interesting because it's from people that made ANW, and you just think they know better.
It has the right recipe. I just don't know why it's not coming out great. And we did ask you to reach out to us, and some of you did, to let us know what you thought of the Titan games. And the consensus is fairly consistent. Everyone seems to be not hating it, but not loving it either. It's just a show, and everybody seems to be on board with, if you cover it, I'll watch it. Basically, not really caring one way or the other.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. Like, it scratches an itch because there aren't many obstacle shows on right now. But man, I still feel like they could do better. Like, there's something there. There's something there if you like mix Spartan Ultimate Challenge with something like this, or, they take different avenues. This is very much more, what's that show that I talked about before?
American Gladiators.
Yeah, American Gladiators. It's similar to that in some ways, but there's something missing in that whole recipe there.
I would love to see it more American Gladiator, right? Have the Titans stay on, and you have to beat the Titans and to conquer Mount. Like, you mean have your champions, have the Rock's champions there for them to beat? That would be more entertaining.
That'd be dope. Hey, but I gotta say, for the pluses, though, that really impressed me, number one, production values. Like, the editing and, like, these graphics that they have, really dope. Like, it really amps up things, and it really makes everything feel really grandiose, And something, the storylines. Once again, I mean, maybe you didn't care for them, Rich, but this episode in particular, I found the storylines really compelling. I liked a lot of, like, you either not necessarily hate, but like, it'll be fun to root against this person, and very much I want to root for this person. It had very little storylines where it just didn't care. This one in particular had a lot of people that I cared about, so that really matters.
I thought it was okay. I don't have anything against the storylines, just like episode 1. I was fine with them. I just wasn't particularly pulled in by them very much. I don't know what's missing, because they have everything you could possibly want to get pulled in. I'm just having a struggle. And again, the only thing I can fall back on is I find them hard to relate to. We have the ninjas that are very fit people, but they do feel like more everyday people. And especially when you go further down the line, right? Like, so maybe not the top tier ninjas, but, second and third tier ninjas, they're people that have everyday jobs, just like these people on this show. But the Titans are built like freight trucks. They're huge, and it's hard to relate to people that are that size.
I mean, that's a good point. Like, let's be honest, I've been on ANW. You would never, ever be able to see me on this show.
Yeah, it's stupid, and it's cosmetic, and I really shouldn't let that hold me up. And that's just my best guess as to why I'm finding it hard to relate to them.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, though. That kind of stuff does matter. I mean, once again, I've seen shows where it's all superhuman-sized people, so I can't make that the sole reason, but it does play a part.
The part I like about the show, and I gotta say, is I really appreciate that The Rock is so hands-on with it. It is not just his stamp of approval on it. He is integral to the show. He is there. He is calling it. He is welcoming them as they, finish the course. He is he is omnipresent and always engaging. So I like that he's there.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point, and that really matters. It does. I still wish like I still kind of skip over his parts, but I mean, hey, it's there, and let's be honest, if you're a casual fan, you're watching this show for The Rock. So hey, all power to him.
They delivered. I'm not loving the segments, to be clear, just like everything else. I'm not loving it. I'm not hating it. But I at least appreciate it that they've delivered on the promise of this is The Rock show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get into these questions we got here, because we got some interesting ones, and I can't even fully remember them right now, so I'm going to kind of rediscover them with you, because we've taken a while to record this one. The first question we got was Kevin Brecky on Facebook, who asked us to create our own obstacle on air.
Oh, come on. Okay. You're going first on that one, bro. Like...
Okay, I can do that. I can do that, because as soon as he said that, I realized I did submit for the obstacle design challenge this year. Not that I don't have some great insight into these things. I just wanted to kind of throw my hat in the ring. I saw some Canadians had made it through the process. So I'm like, wait a minute, it's supposed to be just Americans, but so I'll throw my name in there this year. I think what's lacking on A&W is a really good actual balance obstacle, right? All of the ones that they keep picking for the design challenge are still upper body, which is a huge focus of A&W. I want to see a balance obstacle that tests their balance, not their ability to run fast. So the one that I designed is circular with like a pillar in the middle, and they have to work around the pillar on a balance beam type, like a ring around Saturn. I think I named it Saturn rings or something along those lines. So they have to walk along this narrow beam in a circular motion. They can't touch the middle, and they've got to get to the other side. It prevent them from racing across it. They have to actually use their balance.
That's a good idea. And you submitted this for, an obstacle, right? You said?
Yeah, I sent it in. I did a really rough sketch of it.
That is something that you have a good reason for it being there. And it is a pivotal part of the show. So, man, I mean, you might see that next year. That's bravo, bro. That's pretty good. That's much better than I'm about to say. So,
what do you got? I mean, it's not fair because I did take some time to think of that back when I came up with it. So,
I mean, the one thing that I'm going to go to is it's kind of a cheat because it's not going to be a part of American Ninja Warrior, but it will be a part of Ninja versus Ninja if it comes back or whatever, and that will be, I like it when they change things up. So I'm stealing from really, it's Tough Mudder, but quote unquote, Spartan Ultimate Challenge. I want to see the slip wall on Ninja versus Ninja. I think it would be a fantastic idea for the relay that we see every single season or every episode, right? The final relay where it's broken up where, somebody hands off and blah, 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 right? And then it all culminates to this final obstacle where they get one person doing it. And for me, it's cool and it's like, it's strong to see and everything, but I think it would be so much stronger to see a culmination of all three competitors on the team working together to get up the slip wall. So that's something that I want to see. I think it would bring a unique, different change of pace to the episode and to that race. That said, it might slow, the pace down. I mean, I definitely can see the faults of it, but I also think like it could be nail biting. How do you feel about that?
I like that. I like the idea of them not using it like a relay race, I guess, and combining along the way. Like, so what if they one person started as usual, but around the midsection when they hit the next person, they both have to continue on and then gather up the third person, right? And so have an obstacle between there that requires two people to get up, right? I had to boost one and then the other one helps them up or whatever, and then have the slip ball at the end. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, in many ways, it kind of combines Spartan Ultimate Challenge with the Ninja versus Ninja. I like your version also, where you're saying it's not just that final obstacle, but there's numerous obstacles that start you're requiring 2 people's work and then 3 people's work. Like that's yeah, we're onto something there, Rich. So there you go, Kevin Brecky. That's
Steal from Strong, because they had some 2-person obstacles there on their in that one episode we watched.
Yeah, there was some unique stuff there too.
All right. I like it. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. It was a great question.
By the way, shout out to Kevin Brecky, man. Awesome. His work on ANW, and I believe he's done some stuff in the regional circuits and just all around amazing guy. Always, fan of the podcast and really just an all around like major fan. Like shout out to him.
Speaking of major fans, the next person that wrote in was 2D2 Will from Twitter. That would be Will from 222 Productions. What is one change A&W should make for the better?
You're going to be answering all these questions first, Rich.
Okay, so this one I do need a second to think. So what could A&W change that would make it better? I'm struggling because they really did a lot this last season. I thought they fixed so many things that had been bothering me. I'm going to say take out one of the wingnuts of Wingnut Alley. I really think they've got that overtuned. I'm perfectly happy with everything else they've done. I just feel like that one last wingnut is really limiting who can move on to stage 3, and I want a few more people to hit stage 3.
I mean, the diehard in me disagrees because I love seeing these daunting obstacles that nobody can pass, and we've seen people complete the Wingnut Alley, but I understand your argument where we'd see a whole lot more. So I can go either way, One thing with Sasuke is, that ultimate cliffhanger, and then I forget the name, but the fingerprinting one, the one that's
vertical limit.
Oh gosh, that obstacle looks impossible, right?
Yeah.
The fact that those 2 are there makes it so like nail biting when you watch people get onto it. So I could see it, take it either way. For me, mildly, they can always tune up a little bit more, editing or blah, blah, blah. Like they're always growing in that aspect. So I can't really criticize it too much. Man, they've been good, especially last season. But I will always say the one thing you need to change about American Ninja Warrior is stage 4. That thing is, in my opinion, just a joke of an obstacle or a stage right now. It's literally a rope climb. I dislike it. You can add so much more to that. I mean, when it comes down to you've gone through so much and now you're at the final point where you have the chance to make $1 million. And more importantly, to a lot of people, become, an American Ninja Warrior, like finalist or completionist, whatever you want to call it, total victory. There just needs to be a whole lot more than just a rope climb. I mean, you're just talking about one specific skill. There can be a variety of things that you need to go through, like Ultimate Beastmaster's final stage, where it's a tower, still daunting, but there's a variety of things that you have to go through. You have to battle for it. You have to earn it. Or you can do it something like Sasuke, where at least there's different levels and components to it. Like Sasuke, I think the last time we saw it, there were like 3 different areas, right, Rich? Or no, 2, I think, where it's like a spider climb or something like that to a rope climb. I even think you could put a salmon ladder in the middle of it. And I'm sure right now all A&W competitors listening to this are screaming at me, like just cursing me to the moon. But I'm just saying, like, you look at stage 1, 2, and 3 and how daunting they are, and then it all culminates to a rope climb. You can do better.
Yeah. I think they can. I think they would if they had more people actually attempting it. I really feel like it's been used so few times that they haven't felt a need to change it up.
I feel you.
Will had a second question for us. What Sasuke only obstacle should appear on A&W and vice versa?
I mean, I really like vertical limit, man, but I'm sure I'm forgetting some things. I mean, for the longest time, I would say Wave Runner, but American Ninja Warrior now has something similar to that.
You mean is that what it's called?
I could be wrong.
The water obstacle.
The water obstacle. I mean, whatever it's called.
I would have said the same thing. I'm going to say, I think they call them the drum hopper. They start at stage 3. They've got to hop, like they balance on their hands, like swing their legs, and have to hop just from their hands up to the next platform and make their way up. I think that's a great obstacle.
Dude, that's dope. Yeah, I really like that obstacle too. So yeah, definitely though. Yeah, those are some good ones. Now, vice versa, what would you like to see from A&W make it to Sasuke?
I almost feel unqualified to even offer a suggestion on this one. Let me
see. The interesting part is that A&W has a huge variety of obstacles because we have the city qualifiers and the city finals. So there's a whole lot more of obstacles to choose from. Now, running in the back of my head, I mean, Sasuke, I feel like, is strongest when you're looking at competitors doing transitions. So I'm thinking something like that. Although, I don't know. I mean, what was it? The Double Dipper or whatever it's called. You know, that took out like everybody the last Sasuke. So,
have they had the wing nuts on there yet? I don't think they have.
No.
I would be interested to see how they handle the wing nuts because it made such a dramatic impact on A&W. I think that's the one I would pick.
That's a good one. And, you know, wing nuts, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't matter in terms of size or anything else. You know, wing nuts are like, you know, you fling your body in that direction. That could be a really good one. Just to be different from you, I'm trying to think of some of my favorite obstacles from past seasons. Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like there's some really unique ones, like Deja Vu, maybe. That's good. Cane Lane, I really liked. But honestly, I'd have to agree with you. I'd like to see them tackle wing nuts. I mean, that is super transition heavy. It's fun. And I don't know, something's really cool about seeing competitors flying through the air and trying to catch themselves. Like, just the visual aspect, I mean, it's there, man.
Yeah, that obstacle really had everything. It brought a new skill set to the sport, and it's iconic now. I can't picture A&W without it.
Shout out to Will. Once again, I mean, I'm going to be shouting out everybody, but Will's awesome. Check out his YouTube channel and everything that he does. Been a fan for a long time with his old podcast, and yeah.
On Instagram, Sinead9888 asked us, how did you guys meet and decide to start the podcast?
We're always answering this question, I feel. We've never met, but, well, Rich, why don't you explain what happened?
All right, so when the podcast started, if you listen to the first 2 episodes, it's just me. I decided to start a podcast and picked A&W because I loved it and had no interest in having a co-host because I knew I'd be recording at off hours and it would be kind of a nightmare to try to schedule something so late with somebody else. And and one of the main things originally that I wanted to do was interview the ninjas, right? So I thought that would be difficult with a co-host. So, and plus and half the reason I started was because I didn't know anybody that liked A&W, right? I wanted to reach out to other fans. So I put out the first few episodes, and on Reddit, where I was promoting it, I got a few comments saying that I needed a co-host, and one of those comments was from Bijan. So we hopped on Skype, we started talking, and he joined me for the next episode, and then continued on from there. Little did he know I was going to bug him to do it in the off season. Originally, I think he just thought we were just going to do the Vegas finals. It was just before Jeff and Isaac took it all down is when we started.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, the fact that we started recording with, you know, history like right there. Yeah, I mean, it was the first episodes. There was such a yearning from everybody to have a podcast, to have an outlet to listen to and talk about in a communal event. But, you know, singular podcasts can be a little rough in, you know, one note. So having back and forth in conversation, that's where it really makes it. And I feel like, you know, it all worked out. So that is the story. And one day I will meet you, Rich.
One day, maybe this year. Maybe I can extend. I'm probably, oh wait, is that this year? Yes. Later this year, I'll be going to Vegas. Maybe I can swing over to San Diego.
Hey now. I'm only 4 hours away.
All right. So thank you, Sinead, for sending that in. Really appreciate your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sinead.
The last question we have is from Daniel Josiah Mount on Instagram, who asked, of all 199 previous episodes, which was your favorite?
Oh, God. Once again, you have fun with that one.
Favorite. Oh, boy. It's going to be hard to say an absolute favorite, but I know that it would be one of the ones with guests, because those are always fun to do. I'm going to say our first episode with Jeff. That was a pretty great episode. I was really happy with that episode. We had a great time. We talked long before we started recording and afterwards, which we often do record a bit extra. But I felt like in that one, we really, it just really meshed well.
Yeah, it's always fun. Like you, some of my favorite episodes have always been with a guest, Ninja, just because, it's such an interesting conversation to hear their point of view and their experiences. Jeff stands out to me. Jesse Graff, of course, stands out to me. Ones that I particularly liked was Kyle Soderman and Thomas Stillings. Such vibrant guys that have listened to our podcast. So there was, I enjoyed all of our guests, but those two in particular really felt comfortable conversating with us and joking back and forth. Similar to Jeff Britton, he really had that communal vibe too. And it's just fun because it instantly, like within 1 minute, it's not that weirdness of like figuring out how to conversate and what levels you want to go with the guest. It's instantly like, what up, bro? Yeah, let's just talk. It was pretty cool. But those are, I guess I'm going to cheat and say those three, Jeff Britton, Thomas Stillings, and Kyle Soderman episodes were probably my favorites.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're not really just saying this. It's so easy to just say these things, but we have never had a bad guest. We have had, everybody's been great. I've got tons of footage of before and after that'll show how great and nice and pleasant everyone has been from front to back. I'm thrilled with everyone that's ever been on the podcast.
And isn't that crazy, man? Because you always hear all these nightmare stories, not of A&W, but like celebrities and like all this stuff of like, hey, what you see on screen isn't what they're like in real life. When it comes to the ninja community, everybody is so nice. Like you hear it, but like sometimes you're just like, oh, I don't know if it's true or not. Dude, everyone is so nice. They're awesome. So it's just one of those things. Everybody has been so, how do I say this? Like, they've always been cheerleading us. We're just two dudes, right, Rich? In the grand scheme of things, we're not training every day. And I could see like a lot of, if you take it the wrong way, being like, who the heck are these guys to judge us or like, criticize, booby bouncing guy or whatever, but we're just here to have fun, and at the end of the day, it's all from love. And I'm so enthusiastic and happy by the fact that everybody gets that.
Yeah. And I should have warned you here because we've got a few questions from Daniel here. His counterpoint to that one was, which was the most challenging?
Oh, easy. I mean,
it's the easiest one. It's
the nightmare episode ever from us, and it was the Jesse Graff episode. And it was nothing in due to Jesse Graff. She was the most awesome person ever, the most patient, but we ran into like technical issue from our side after technical issue. It was a complete nightmare from our side. And she was such a trooper.
It was so late at night. It was extremely late on my end, but it was still like quite late in California even. She's got 100 things on the go, and she made time 2 nights in a row for us, right at the heart of all of the hype surrounding her.
This is when she became a star, that week.
Unbelievable that she did that, but definitely the most challenging. Technically, emotionally, I was dealing with very little sleep because I was staying up till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and then going to work, getting up for work at 7. trying to get these done, and then had to do it 2 nights in a row, and I was just dying.
Yeah. The hard times, man.
Yeah. And it's funny that even with all that, this week has been extra challenging because we actually didn't get it out.
Rough.
But yeah, the Jesse Graff one is notorious and will definitely hold that title. Mm-hmm. Hopefully forever. I hope we never have one worse.
Let's not make it any worse. That said, I mean, we learned a whole lot from that. Now we have backup recorders. We have a lot of things that, we have in place in case things go wrong. So it was a nice learning experience. I wish it wasn't at the, we didn't have to take so much time from Jessie, but she was the most patient, amazing human being.
Yes, I think that made us, we were already huge fans and big supporters of hers, but I think that put us right over the top.
Oh, yeah.
And Daniel also asked, what's the one episode that someone new to A&W should listen to first to get the heartbeat of what it's all about? So of our podcast, what do we recommend?
Definitely not our New Year's episodes, because those, they'll be like, what is this? I would have to say, I know this is kind of cliche, but it would have to be one of our A&W proper episodes, just because I feel like when you're listening to a podcast, it's halfway the importance of having, a good hosts that are communicating and fun and vibe and everything. But the other aspect is having something you're interested and care about listening to. And I'm glad that everybody's on a journey watching these shows with us so we can conversate and everything. But everybody listening to the Armchair Ninja podcast is watching and a big fan of American Ninja Warrior. And it has to be one of those episodes. Maybe the finals, maybe, one of the premieres. Heck, maybe the episode where I was on, on the show proper, right? Something like that. How do you feel, Rich?
Yeah, definitely A&W proper episode. That's the most widely appealing, the one that people most want to hear. I might recommend specifically the one where we had Jeff and Jamie Ron on with us covering an A&W episode, the one that Jamie actually ran.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But that actually, no, that wasn't A&W proper. That was Ninja versus Ninja, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Ninja versus Ninja.
That still might work.
We've had guests on covering A&W proper, who's the Cannonball?
Thomas Stillings did.
Tyler Yamauchi, Thomas Stillings, yeah, right. People like that, yeah.
Tyler was a great interview and brought a lot to that episode. He might be a good episode. Any one of the A&W proper episodes that we had a ninja on with us from this or last year. I wouldn't go too far back into the catalog.
Yeah. We've definitely gone better at a time, like a fine wine. That said, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be one with a ninja, in my opinion, Rich, me and you do fine, with our own. It's really one where we're just on a good one, just everything's all firing. Really something where it's either an awful, something crazy bad happens where I can just lose my dang mind. Those are always fun. Or something where it's really great. But honestly, I would say, like a booby bouncing episode or something like that, If you don't know the reference, those are the episodes to look for from me.
Maybe the All-Star special would make some sense because that is, has a lot of excitement to it. We get really amped up. Something along those lines, I guess. My take on recommending one with a ninja would be to have someone that the audience would be familiar with. So if someone was a new listener, they would be more interested in hearing from a ninja that they know than us two schmucks offering our opinion on the course. But either way, I think we're always looking for new listeners. If you want to send some recommendations out, always appreciated. And our last question comes from one of our most favorite people, A&W Akbarism on Twitter asked, I'd like to know what your favorite Akbar is. I'd like to know what your favorite Akbarism is, though I fear Bijan doesn't have one.
You're right about that. Man, it's been a minute since we heard Akbar. So like he did ANW Junior, but like his best stuff is like, I don't know, like Ninja versus like something where it's just so ridiculous, like the biggest characters, where it's most ridiculous. So it's got to be like ANW proper or ANW Junior, because Ninja versus Ninja is kind of straight laced. Do you got one off the top of your mind, man?
The one that comes to mind is him calling, oh God, why can't I think of his name? Sean Bryan, the PayPal ninja, because he's so money.
Oh.
Still makes me laugh. I still think that might be my favorite.
I mean, now you guys got me cringing at all the ones where he makes you cringe. But there's better stuff. There's ones where he's like, blah, blah. Oh, gosh. Come on, man. There's got to be some good stuff. Like, A&W Akbar, you got to, like, give me some options here or something. Like, I challenge A&W Akbarism to let us know what your favorite is. You're the master of all of them. Everybody wants to know what your favorite is, and we'll read it off next week. How about that?
She has sent out a lot of them. She does the best of the year and everything else before, so to be fair to her. Let me see what we've got. Let me see if I can bring up some best ofs, and then you can tell me which one you like the best.
Sounds good.
How about Frogs on the Sidelines? He better rip it.
The only thing I feel so bad for Akbar's like children, because they must hear like these dad jokes like regularly, like all the time.
How about, come on, Miss Beard, it's not recess time yet. No time to play now.
You can do better than that, bro.
Yeah, I'm just looking through these. Philadelphia, man, you talk about the city of brotherly love. This course ain't got no love for anybody.
There's better Akbarisms. It's one of those things where I'm never going to remember them, but if I hear them, like, there's some good stuff out there. Sorry, everybody, but I could barely remember, Daniel Gill didn't make it to Siege 3 in the last 2 seasons. I'm not going to remember an Akbarism.
Breathe in, breathe out. Your wife Stephanie delivered Emily, and now you've got to deliver this one.
That's pretty good.
How about she's Lebrecht House?
Sure. I'm pretty sure you got to boo like, she's a Lebrecht House.
I spared you not doing that.
It happened.
So thank you, A&W Akbarism, for sending in the suggestion. I do have one more. I will play it now. It is a clip that I grabbed a while back. It is Akbar saying,
"You better get some popcorn because this is going to be a fun night."
But that is it for this week for us. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. How great is it that it's 200 episodes? So I'm going to talk over the ending of this podcast, which you hate, Rich, and just give a huge shout out to Rich. He is the bread and butter, the master behind everything in this podcast, and just tons of love to him. He really, I may talk and like all this stuff, but he really puts in all the time and all the commitment to this. When we record, it's super late in the night for him, and yet he is there every single week, committed to doing this podcast for all of you. Tons of love, bro, and here's to 200 more.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everything you bring to the podcast and for ruining the ending once again. I hope the rest of you have a wonderful week.
Peace and love, y'all.